Sorry.
Okay.
But,
Well, I feel like John Travolta's relaxing us a little bit back there.
So you get the OG sort of studio closet space.
Okay.
It gets really hot in here.
Warm in here.
Yeah. So welcome to Manufacturing Matters. Today I'm here talking to Luke, who's the head of sales at EMEA, Europe, at Factbird. And he's got a lot of experience working in factories and then obviously working on our side selling software to people in factories. Welcome, Luke.
Hello. Thank you for having me. It's nice to finally be in this famous room.
The famous studio closet at Neuropsgal in Copenhagen. Yeah, it's really good to have you here. It's in general, like having people like you at the company that have a lot of experience working in factories and then sort of coming from for us, the customer side, and then bring that into the company because we're still a relatively young company, has been really beneficial, especially with the entire sales team. And I just wanted to ask you about what you've sort of learnt working in factories. And I think you're doing sort of leadership consulting in multiple factories and stuff like that, right? And then coming over to this side, sort of helping people through technology.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for me, moving into this sector was born out of frustration, right? For quite a few years, I was traveling the world, going into various factories, and everyone had that sheet of paper. And I was guilty of putting that sheet of paper on the line and saying, right, fill that in and we'll check back every hour and we'll see how your performance is, and then we'll look at your top-down times, and then we'll fill in the whiteboard with the red and the green, and we'll do your shift huddles and then your daily reviews. And actually, what we were doing at that point was just putting administrative burden on the people that were adding value to the product. Okay. And it's really important you don't do that. It's really important the people that are value add on the front line, rather than giving them admin to do, you actually help them, right? Give them the tools to help them.
Yeah.
So
then they don't come to work to do admin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So everything you pay for in every product you purchase is costed based on a certain amount of labor and material, and if that value add labor is doing something other than producing the product, well, the businesses aren't going to be making much money.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a journey about, right, okay, what exists in the market to make people's lives easier, because as a consultant, you would usually go into these factories, and you would always be pushing in against quite a lot of resistance.
Okay. So was that one of the main issues when you were sort of going and trying to help with processes? Was from the outset it was kind of hard with the culture there?
Yeah, I mean, wherever you went. So I remember going into a factory in Belgium, and we put the short interval control sheets on the line. I went out to get my lunch. I came back, and the whole factory were sat in the canteen. We don't want to fill these sheets in, we just want to produce the product. It's like, okay, well, how do we gather data? How do we get information to help these people to actually solve their top problems, give them a voice on the factory floor? So I went into selling software and actually supporting people in implementing that in order to help them, give them their time back, and then also make work a little bit more fun again. Too many production managers out there go home at the end of the day exhausted.
Yeah.
And they get there half an hour early to do their shift handover. They'll leave half an hour later to do a shift handover again.
So they got long hours.
Long hours, and by the end of that, I mean, they want some energy to go home to their families a little bit happier. And it sounds quite idealistic, but simple tools, simple processes can make people's everyday significantly better from a happiness point of view, right? And maybe that's not the metric we measure at Factbird. Maybe we should. We should have a happiness metric.
Like a button at the airport.
Exactly, yeah, where we have at the end, like the 3 buttons when you walk out the toilet.
Yeah.
How clean was this?
How was
right?
your experience today?
So I think, yes, we improve OEE performance. Yes, we improve material utilization, your material variance, your labor variance. But actually, we're leveling up people on the shop floor, and we're engaging them in performance and doing better each day.
Yeah, I think that's something that happens everywhere. People can be too focused on the technology and be like, it can do this, this, and that. And it can all sound interesting, but if you can't connect it well with people, it's not going to go anywhere at the end of the day. Did you find like so was it mostly in Europe where you were sort of going around consulting, or all over the world?
So we did some in the US as well.
Okay.
Some in APAC.
Were there any differences that you noticed throughout the different regions? Or?
Yeah, I mean, for me, a core part of when you're deploying any digital tool, you could make it quite laborious if you just dropped it in, right?
Yeah.
It's how you celebrate the wins in each region that really stuck out to me. So you would deploy digital transformation, or you would achieve something in a factory in the US, and they would shout about it, right?
Yeah.
They would be really excited about what they've achieved, really celebrate the individuals. Very much in APAC as well. Yeah. In Europe, we're a little bit more...
It's not the done thing.
Yeah. We're not good at celebrating people. We're not good at celebrating performance. So culturally, doing any project, in Europe, it's always a little bit of a slower move.
Okay.
Particularly from a people perspective, it's a little bit of a harder grind to get people on board with celebrating human endeavor.
Yeah.
And celebrating performance.
Yeah, it's definitely different ways of dealing with that. I know New Zealand's also got this sort of more sort of reserved culture when it comes to celebrating success. You don't want to celebrate too loud, but yeah, it's got its advantages and disadvantages. But which type of industry were you working in when you were working in factories?
Predominantly food and beverage.
Okay.
So CPG, food and beverage, which can be low margin, it can be a grind, it can be 20, 30 years behind other industries from an investment point of view.
Yeah. So like old machines, old processes.
Absolutely, and I work predominantly in the UK manufacturing industry, and most factories there have grown organically. They've attached an additional bit on the side here, they've added a line in here, there's no consistency in all of their manufacturing lines.
Yeah.
So onboarding people is difficult. Getting consistent performance day to day. There's a separation in the way that these factories are built in people between the office and the manufacturing environment as well. So communication is exceptionally difficult, and you see a lot of silos.
Is that one of the main one of the challenges that you see as well? Then is I guess that's why you use data, right? Is connecting people on the shop floor to the people in the offices. So making sure that there's a good sort of feedback loop going there.
100%, yeah. And if you think about a business structure, you've typically got the forecast element, the plan element, the execute element, and the control. It's like a plan, do, check, act loop. PDCA, yeah, dropping that in there. And then if you look at what Factbird does really well, is it does a really good job in the execute and control element of that. So we can start to visualize performance, engage people on the shop floor. And then if you look at the planning and forecasting element, they typically happen in the office space. And probably where AI is going to affect the most in the short term, I imagine. But there's a disconnect between those because there are walls. They're usually big rabbit warrens. So historically, to check performance on the plant floor, you had to do that like racetrack pattern management, right? Run around every line, and then by the time you reach 10 o'clock, you'd suddenly know what your performance was. And some manufacturing leaders didn't get out on the shop floor. So visibility probably came from gut feeling. Or lagging indicators as they popped up. So you're talking about yesterday or 4 hours ago now. So really, really difficult environment to work in.
And I guess it's like through acquisition or growth or whatever as well, then that can be really magnified if you like all of a sudden buy a plant in Poland somewhere or in Germany. And very different ways of working, different machines, bigger disconnects as your company grows as well.
100%.
So that's really, really good insights from the factory side of your life, and you slipped in a little bit of sales there for Factbird as well.
It's kind of the
it's
job
hard to
now.
stop you, so what have you taken there, and what have you learned on the selling software side of things? Because you've been doing this now for 6 years, 7 years, longer. Sure.
Something like that.
Something like that. That's a good response.
Yeah. We can check that. We can fact check that one later.
Yeah.
Yes. So, are you asking about like the transition into the sales environment? Or?
Yeah, the transition into it, and then so you've taken a lot of good learnings from the factory side, where it's got to focus on the people, make sure the people are happy, and then things move better.
Yep.
Is kind of what I took away from that, and then how did you transition into the sort of vendor side of things, and then what have you learned since being on the vendor side?
Yeah, I think when you move into the manufacturing software space from being in operations and working in the factory day in, day out, you come with empathy and sympathy for the people that live that world every day. So coming into the sales world or getting this software into that environment is significantly easier when you can empathize with the people that you're working with and that you're selling to, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm selling to a VP of Ops that's worked their way up through a plant, I understand the problems and the challenges that they've gone through.
Yeah.
And I empathize and I genuinely want to help.
Yeah.
It's not like we just want to get the software in as many, of course we want to get the software in as many factories, but you can see the change that happens, not just in the factory, but in the individuals as well. So coming at that from an experienced manufacturing perspective, that's much easier. Rather than going, hey, you've got some problems that we might want to solve. It's like, no, I felt that once. I felt that pain. I felt the disconnect between quality and production and maintenance and the manual whiteboards that you're being made to fill in every day.
It's like you wouldn't try to sell farming equipment to people if you didn't know anything about farming.
No, I'd be useless at that.
Pretty sure that's for crop something, or So it's really valuable to have that know the people that you're selling to, feel the empathy, and know how you can really help them. Yeah,
exactly. And look, it's also, if it's not going to be useful, you walk away from it. If you know it's not going to be impactful.
That's so strong to me when people are like, hey, actually, this isn't right for you. This is maybe the path you can go. When somebody says that, you're like, oh, okay. This is, you remember that kind of thing as well.
I agree.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Good. So then I'd like to ask you then, what advice would you give to people in general?
Or about manufacturing?
To your kids? No, yeah.
Never eat yellow snow.
It's a classic trick. Frank Zappa. There you go. Some people would have enjoyed that. So what advice would you give to people in manufacturing and operations in general? Like what should they focus on today?
In general, that's a big one.
It's a very open field for you to play in.
It's a very open one. So I think if we look at manufacturing in general, it's about how do you get your entire team pulling in the same direction.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's a really difficult environment to work in. You've sometimes got maintenance working off a CMMS. You've got your production team working off Excel spreadsheets and paperwork. You've got a QMS. You've got probably an ERP system sat there.
Yeah.
So to get everyone singing off the same hymn sheet is extremely difficult. And the best leaders I've seen in manufacturing are the ones that communicate the most.
Yeah.
The ones that can communicate the strategy to unlock the discretionary effort and the endeavor from the entire factory.
How do they do that? Like, what's the method of that?
It can be a mixture of things. So I think the first thing is involving them in the decision-making process, getting people on board ahead of a deployment.
Yeah.
Communication strategies are really powerful. I've seen people hang banners on the outside of buildings before with the faces of super users of a software.
Yeah. You remember that.
It's extremely engaging, right? You walk in and you go, okay, that's important. That's part of our objective for this quarter, this year. So involve people in the decision making, celebrate the people, make sure you communicate well ahead of time when something's happening. Otherwise, people feel like things are happening to them.
Yeah.
And to get everyone pulling in the same direction, see if there's a pivot in the middle, right? Rather than using lots of different systems, use something that is going to give you one source of truth to work from.
Yeah, how can you unify people across all departments?
Exactly that, yeah. And that could be a balanced set of metrics across safety, quality, delivery, cost, inventory, people. And that could be digitized, it could be 100% digitized, or some of that could still be manual, right? There might be some manual intervention in there. But get one source of truth and a really good communication strategy.
Yeah.
And then you have your goal, people on board, and some metrics to manage you.
Yes. Again, like anything, you want to know where you're going, and then you want to know where you're at. And
Exactly.
just be able to see that instantly. The easier that is, then the easier it is to do your job.
Yeah, and I think also, if you achieve something great, celebrate it, put a flag in the sand, and say, it doesn't slip from here.
Yeah.
I almost quoted Steven Gerrard then. It'd be bad if everyone knows the Steven Gerrard, we won't let it slip. Don't include that. Liverpool fans will hate this. We'll never soil anything in Liverpool.
It's been out of it for a while.
Well,
people have long memories in football. Now.
So put the flag in the sand and make sure you say, this is our new baseline. This is where we move from. Because it's very common in manufacturing. You get that leap in performance and then people start to tail off. So you can maintain that by with good leadership and good metrics to sustain.
Awesome. Okay. Final question then before I let you go to a barrage of meetings that you're doing here at HQ.
Can't wait.
It's going to be awesome. What do you think the main change that is happening that is going to happen in manufacturing over the next 5 years? What is it that people should... So you talked about what people should do now. Communication, knowing where you're at, clear goals. What about in the future? Is there anything coming?
Obviously, everyone talks about AI, but I think we need to be pragmatic in the fact that particularly food and beverage manufacturing, CPG manufacturing, it's 20, 30 years behind everything else anyway. And I spoke about the plan, do, check, act, the forecast, plan, execute, control loop. AI will probably influence the forecasting and planning quite significantly.
Yeah.
I think when you look at the execute and control element of that on the shop floor, you walk into an apple factory or a fruit processing factory, there are still hundreds of human beings that need to be engaged.
Yeah.
So yes, AI is going to be influential, but I think the best manufacturers will be the ones that do the visual factory, the ones that engage the human beings, and the one that can actually put something in place to retain their staff.
Okay.
That's my take on it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Luke. It's
Good.
So thanks for your time. We'll nip this podcast in the bud and
Cool.
let you get on with your day. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks very much.
And thanks for turning off the camera, Gabriel.
I actually need you to clap before we go.